Hello, welcome back to Unqualified Analysis. I'm your host, Caleb V, I suppose. You can find me on the Twitters down at, Caleb VUA. I'm pointing at the bottom right-hand corner of the screen now because that's my @ right there. Right there, right there-ish. I might be completely butchering that, but it is what it is. So you can go ahead and follow me on the Twitters over there. I post every once in a while. Let out some frustration, some anger. Sometimes just trolling around, just trolling around. So here comes the dog. She gonna? Yep, there she goes. There she goes. How you doing, pup? You good, dog? What's going on? It's probably not a place you want to go or can go. It's probably not it either. Okay. Trying to find a route around here. Nope. Not there either. Okay. Well, she couldn't find a route around, and so she decided to walk out. That's her prerogative, and I fully support her in doing so. But as far as the episode goes today, we got a college football episode for you. I am still unsure of how to proceed with the future of this podcast as it pertains to how we structure this thing. As my dog just itching up a storm out there, just jingling around left and right. I digress on that front. I don't know if I want to do college football first or NFL first. The Monday night game really throws me off because if it wasn't for the Monday night game, I'd have all the games to talk about on Monday, but I don't know. Maybe I'll start recording these reaction episodes for college football on Sunday when it's nice and fresh in my mind. I don't know. We'll play it by ear as we go along. I think I'm gonna change up the format a little bit as to how we record these, though, because it just doesn't. It feels a little bit off, just a little bit off. I'd need to include like a third episode a week for it to really come together, and I just simply don't have the time to do that. So we're going to workshop it, and then we're going to come back to it. But college football, week 3. As is tradition on the Tuesdays, we're talking about college football. We'll see if that changes, but for right now, that's what we're doing. I don't want to say a boring week because there were a lot of upsets. We'll talk about one for sure. Close to upsets, close games. Not a whole lot of marquee matchups this week and a whole lot of blowouts. So we'll get into it. College football week 3. We got a couple things to talk about here, so let's just get into it, man. Let's just dive headfirst in there. First and foremost, I guess we'll talk, real quickly about Friday night. Arizona goes on the road to Kansas State. Kansas State beats the hell out of them. 0 for 1. Also, 2 and 3 on the picks this week. The board was brutal. I mean, I don't think I won a single bet on college football this weekend, whether it was public or with my own hard-earned money. I don't think I won a single bet. It was just total carnage on the board. This was one of the points of carnage right here. Arizona and Kansas State. Kansas State beat them 31-7. So that over, didn't get that at all. Hey, Ted McMillan still 138 yards, but that was over half of Noah Fafita's production. So not great at all. Avery Johnson ran the hell out of the ball. They just, didn't allow Arizona to score. So, your boy was out a couple bucks because I bet on the over. It is what it is there. I think we're learning more about Arizona here and just that they're not that good. Obviously struggled with Northern Arizona last week, struggling to score. Only scored 22 points on them. This week, only 7 on Kansas State. It feels like an offense that should be better, but ultimately is just not up to snuff right now. And it's a first-year head coach, so maybe that'll change as the season goes along, but right now, in a really packed Big 12, I'm just not sure Arizona is a contender right now. Maybe they round into form later in the season. Hey, maybe this is their only loss of the season, and they just run the table from here on out. Just don't like the vibes over there so far in the early season, especially when you got a returning starting quarterback, a star receiver, maybe the best receiver in all of college football, though Luther Burden has something to say about that, I would suppose. We're going to talk about them here in a second. You expect better from Arizona, and that defense is not good. The offense is not as good as you would hope. So unless that offense comes around, I just don't see how they have a chance here in the Big 12 going forward. Kansas State, on the other hand, boy, I mean, Avery Johnson can't pass to save his life. That's a problem. You're going to have to cross that bridge at some point. But as a runner, the dude is electrifying. I mean, a great, great runner. Some people online, I wasn't saying it, but I was seeing some people saying this is why you don't play a running back at quarterback whenever they were struggling early on. But ultimately, I think he can do just fine when you still have DJ Giddens at running back. In addition to that running quarterback, I think Kansas State's going to be a problem this year. I think they are well on their way to competing for a Big 12 title. They're going to be right there in the thick of it the entire season. Ultimately, may run away with the thing depending on how Avery Johnson plays going forward. But Kansas State looking real good. Defense is looking better than it did last year. Offense seemingly finding its stride here with Avery Johnson. They're going to probably round into form a little bit more as the season goes along, but I love what I'm seeing from K-State right now. But we'll keep it moving from there. I think that was maybe the only, well, I think there might have been another ranked matchup. Yes, Missouri and Boston College was a ranked matchup, so we'll talk about that in just a second. But not a whole lot of ranked matchups this week, so we'll keep moving from here. Georgia escaped one on Saturday. This is one of the surprising ones. Obviously, I bet Georgia minus 24. They only won by one here, 13-12. Could not get the offense going against Kentucky, who looked absolutely hapless last week versus South Carolina. Obviously, really late in the game here, I think Mark Stoops kind of fumbled the bag. They were, I think, at about like midfield, 4th and short, I believe it was. I can't remember the exact yardage. Maybe it was 4th and 1, but they were at midfield. Georgia, was having a tough time stopping them throughout this one from moving the ball. Brock Vandegrift playing his old team, a lot of emotion involved, and they just punt it late, and Georgia never gives the ball back. That's, pretty inexcusable for Kentucky. You're an unranked team going toe-to-toe with the number one team in the nation. Just play to win, man. Don't play not to lose. Play to win. Punting in that situation is a losing play. It is what it is there. You can't change it, but they had them on the ropes. It was 9-6, I believe. At one point, or at the very least, it was 9-6 entering the fourth quarter. So they had a lead entering the fourth quarter, and Georgia was just never able to pull away. It's just punting in that situation doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Georgia, hey, you did what you had to do to survive. You go to another week, you're 3-0 still. You're going to have to play a hell of a lot better against teams like Texas this season. I think they're playing Oklahoma at some point, I want to say. Maybe they don't, maybe they do. I don't know. They're playing Tennessee for sure. They're going to have a brutal schedule here in the SEC. They're not just beating up on the SEC East anymore. They get to play some of the newcomers, some of the holdovers from the SEC West. That's been the best division in all of college football for at least the last decade, to the best of my knowledge. So they're going to have to shape up. They did exactly what they were supposed to do. Well, not exactly. They were supposed to kill them, but they won the game. It wasn't pretty, but they won the game. Another Georgia player got arrested for driving-related charges, reckless driving, right before the game, so that's hilarious. Kirby Smart, I think he had some sort of a quote about culture, why they won this game because of culture. That's I can't tell if that was intentional or not. That's elite level trolling, but maybe you should get some stuff in order there in the program. I don't know how people keep getting arrested there. It's just it boggles my mind that they haven't fixed this problem. I don't know what is going on there with Kirby Smart, but at this point you're focusing on football, and at least you got to win this week. Like I said, though, they're going to need to look a hell of a lot better against the best of the competition that they're going to face. So we'll see what happens. I still think they're the best team in the nation. They just kind of had a stumbling point here. Look ahead spot to the meat of the SEC schedule. You can understand it, but you can't have another game like this. I suppose you can because of the 12-team playoff. They're just going to make it no matter what, essentially. But if you want to be that one seed entering the playoff, you're not going to want to have any more games like this. Otherwise, you're going to drop one here or there. They're facing a gauntlet of a schedule. That Texas-Georgia matchup is going to be a dandy. I cannot wait for that. That's going to be fun. But we'll keep it moving from here. Speaking of Texas, they beat the absolute shit out of UTSA 56-7. Most notably in this game, Quinn Ewers goes down. Arch Manning comes in. What does he do? I don't know. 223, 4 touchdowns through the air, a long 57-yard touchdown on the ground. Has wheels, if you didn't know that. Not sure how. Guess you weren't paying attention to the scouting report when he was coming into college. I guess you just assumed he was more akin to Eli or Peyton. Not necessarily so much the Archie side of the gene pool, but he's much more on the Archie side of the gene pool, man. He can move. He can throw the damn ball. He's going to be a stud when he gets his chance, and he might have his chance here over the next couple of weeks, depending on the prognosis for Quinn Ewers' injury. He left the game, came back in street clothes, so it's not a great sign there. But when you have a backup like Arch Manning, they are just blessed in the QB room. And, I mean, if Arch does get extended playing time going forward, I'm excited to see how he does in this offense. I mean, if this last game was any indication, he's going to be a star. I mean, we kind of assumed that coming in, being the number 1 overall recruit, having that last name and all that sort of stuff. But I just assumed this guy is going to be a star. I mean, going into Steve Sarkisian's system, having that support system around him with all of his relatives, Archie, Peyton, Eli, even his dad Cooper was a hell of a ball player in college, or not in college, but in high school before he had that neck injury. So he's got a hell of a support system. He's got great talent, great athleticism. I am in a great system to develop. This has all been very curated and very intentional, the way that he has handled his college career so far. And I expect the kid to be a star. I don't know when he's going to come in. We'll see how this upcoming stretch goes with him assumably being the starting quarterback. But I have no question in my mind he's going to be a star at this level, and we're just seeing scratching the surface of that against the UTSA. I'm looking forward to seeing him against better competition. I should check, though, what exactly is the prognosis of that Quinn Ewers injury? Let's see if I can find some. Not seeing anything. Arch Manning dazzles in 5 TD performance. I don't know. I don't know. Quinn Ewers, all highlights. I don't know, man. Ewers connects to Bond. Well, that's an early thing. I don't know. Man. I simply don't understand this. So hey, we'll keep an eye on that Quinn Ewers situation. I think he was tied for the best odds to win the Heisman entering the weekend. So that's something to monitor. Obviously, huge injury, but it's time to get excited about the Arch Manning experience, because it's coming, boys. It is coming, and it's coming hard. That's a fact, and we'll end it there. We'll keep it moving. Alabama beat the hell out of Wisconsin, 42-10. Jalen Milroe accounted for 5 touchdowns in this game, 75 yards on the ground with 2 touchdowns, 196 through the air with 3 touchdowns, and no turnovers in the game. He was electric in this one. And Alabama did exactly what they were supposed to do. They look like the Alabama of the past several years, and Wisconsin did nothing to assuage that in my mind. I don't know what's going on at Wisconsin. Obviously, Tyler Van Dyke went down for the season in this one, so that's unfortunate. I mean, I'll tell you what, man, Luke Fickell better get the boys playing, otherwise he's going to get run out of town, which is a shock to me based on everything he's done up until this point. But if he keeps trending this way, it's not going to be pretty for him going forward. That'll be one to monitor, but man, Kalen DeBoer is looking good with Alabama so far. I'm excited to see them get into the meat of the SEC schedule this year, because it's going to be fun. It is going to be fun this year. Maybe they disappoint in the schedule. I don't think they will, but maybe they do. Ultimately, though, I am fascinated to see what this team looks like in SEC play. I think they look really good. I think Jalen Milroe's playing the best football he's played in college so far, and I'm just excited to see how that translates against top-level great defenses like he hasn't played so far, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun, folks. So far, Jalen Milroe, very much in the running for Heisman. He's going to make that legacy or break that legacy in SEC play, so we'll see how it goes. Wisconsin, good luck, buddies. I still don't think your roster is very good. You're starting a backup quarterback now, who I believe is a true freshman or a redshirt freshman. Either way, good luck. That's all I got to say. Good luck. The rebuild is not going great right now. Ole Miss beat Wake Forest 40-6. They beat them so bad that Wake Forest discontinued their home-and-home series. We'll use that narrative. Obviously, Lane Kiffin says they got contacted by the AD earlier in the week, but I'll roll with the narrative that they beat them so bad that they just didn't want to continue the home-and-home series. Beat them so bad on the road at that. Ole Miss looks great. It hurts my soul, and you can probably tell it by the way I said that, but they look fantastic, and I have a feeling they're going to score like 60 on Mississippi State. It's going to be like a 60-3 final. It's going to be real sad, and I'm going to be real sad as a result. But that's months down the road. We don't got to worry about that right now. We just got to worry about our dog shit team in the present. Yeah, Ole Miss looks great. Ole Miss looks great, though. Missouri survived a close one at home. They beat Boston College 27-21. Luther Burden had a breakout game for this season, 117 yards and a touchdown. He had one on his one touchdown after the catch. He just was Looney Tunes. He's a shoo-in first-round pick, best wide receiver in college football right now. Tet McMillan's right up there with him, but Luther Burden doing that against a really solid Boston College team. That's nothing to sneeze at in its own right. So love Luther Burden. Missouri gets the win. They're 3-0. They're number 6 in the country still. They are going to be a force to be reckoned with. And they just kind of get lost in the shuffle here in the SEC discussion. That's how deep the SEC is at the top, upper echelons, that Missouri just kind of gets forgotten about. And they're a ho-hum, just the number 6 team in the country right now. They look like a wagon. They obviously stumbled a little bit against Boston College. But I want to give Boston College their flowers in this one. I think we found out that Missouri maybe a little bit bumpier on the defensive side than we maybe expected, but still solid enough, beat a quality team in their own house. We'll see how they do in SEC play. Still waiting to find out about them. But Boston College, man, they play around their strengths so well while minimizing their deficiencies equally as well. It's really impressive what Bill O'Brien is doing over there. Obviously, have some question marks passing right now with Castellanos, but he's a great runner. You have a good offensive line, and you have a good running back as well. So what do? You lean into the running game, and Boston College can run the damn ball, man. I'll tell you what, I got to look at the actual stats in this game, but I mean, it wasn't great. Let's be honest here, it wasn't fantastic. But even with the running game getting tamped down, okay, we're just going to lean back into the passing game because obviously you're loading the box on us. So Castellanos goes 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, but 3 touchdowns at the end of the day, no fumbles, 8.9 yards per attempt. Even when you're stopping what they do great, they still come back around and throw a curveball at you in the other categories and passing specifically in this one. I love Bill O'Brien as a college football head coach, man. And I've maintained this for a while that obviously in the NFL he was solid enough, but too much of a control freak, to control of everything down with the Texans. And ultimately that was his downfall after a few bad trades and one terrible year. He's out of there. Then we're looking into a new head coach. In college, that's the type of thing that makes you a great coach, is if you're an absolute control freak, you want your fingers on every piece of the program. That's the type of coaches that do great in college, man. And you're seeing it here with Boston College. Bill O'Brien was a late hire. Jeff Hafley, the former head coach of Boston College, goes to the Green Bay Packers after a solid year with BC. They have to hire late in the cycle, so they go out and they get Bill O'Brien. No one expects much from him. Ohio State's happy to see him leave because they got Chip Kelly as the play caller over there now, and they thought that was an upgrade. Yet to be seen. I think probably was. But as a head coach, getting Bill O'Brien late, like ho-hum, it would be a disadvantage for a lot of college coaches to just work with a ready-made recruiting class that you have zero input over, and probably going to lose some guys because their head coach just left. I think for a lot of guys, that's a disadvantage. For Bill O'Brien, hell, he's been working with other people's groceries his entire career, pretty much in the NFL. It's pretty much just like, okay, I have some input in free agency, but you're not going to get all the free agents you want. And ultimately, you're just going to have to work with what you're given. And that's exactly what he's done here with Boston College. He did it for years in the NFL. I love Bill O'Brien as a college football head coach. I don't know if Boston College is his last landing spot. I think he's going to do a great job at Boston College. I think he's already doing a great job. When he gets more of his own guys in there, if he's built the recruiting apparatus properly for BC going forward, if he gets his guys in there, I think, there's no question in my mind, especially if the ACC stays intact, which not a guarantee, but we'll see how that goes. I think there's no question in my mind that Boston College could end up being a dark horse playoff contender. Some years maybe a little bit down, but still around like 7-5. I think Boston College is going to be a solid program under Bill O'Brien. I just have a really good feeling about this team. I have a great feeling about the head coach, and I wanted to give them their flowers because I don't think people talk enough about just how good of a hire that Bill O'Brien was, just because the stain of his previous stops. I mean, especially at offensive coordinator, he got run out of town with Alabama. Seems to be a nice little runway for head coaches. You saw, I mean, I guess Steve Sarkisian didn't get run out of town, but he took the Texas job, goes on to have great success with Texas. Bill O'Brien, kind of bounces around. I mean, hell, Brian Daboll, he got run out of town, then he became a head coach of the New York Giants, did a great job with the Bills before that. So, hey, that Alabama coaching pipeline, not sure if it's going to be the same under Kalen DeBoer. I mean, doubtful for sure. But, hey, that Saban coaching line still pumping strong there with the rejects that he took on in his staff once upon a time. Love Boston College. Love Bill O'Brien. I think he's going to be a really solid coach for as long as he wants to be. He kind of started later than a lot of people head coaching in college, but I think he is a ready-made, very good college football coach, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he does there in Boston. Okay, we'll see what Missouri is. We'll put a pin in them until they face real SEC play, which they're not far off from. So we'll put a pin in them for now. Tennessee had a hilarious final score, 71-0 versus Kent State. This was another one where I believe Nico Iamaleava did not play in the second half. Another game where Tennessee ran for about 1 million yards on them. Let me pull up the stats here. They had... and this is just hilarious. They had, on the game, 55 rushes for 456 yards. That's an 8.3 yard per carry clip. And you're thinking to yourself, okay, get a bunch of yards. Did they get touchdowns? Yup, 6 of them to be exact. This game was so bad that the backup quarterback, Gaston Moore, had 94 yards on 4 attempts, 4 completions, 2 of them being touchdowns, 100 total QBR, a perfect QBR. And this was just a shellacking from start to finish. Tennessee went to Kent State and asked them if they wanted to shorten the half, and they said, I'm not done yet. Ring the bell, man. We're going for it. And, hey, all the credit to them. Did not help them in the long run. Tennessee still won 71-0, but you died falling on your sword, and I respect the hell out of that. That was just a beatdown. I can't wait to see Tennessee get into SEC play. The Josh Heupel offense is all the way back. The Joe Milton hiccup is over. Nico is a hell of a quarterback. That run game is dynamic, and they're a real championship contender. Not just SEC. I'm talking national championship contender. And I am so excited for SEC play to start, man. There are so many good teams at the top, and they all play each other with this new SEC format. I'm giddy for that. I'm not so giddy to watch my team play. We'll get to them in good time. But I am so excited to watch Tennessee get into this SEC play. Oregon goes on the road to Oregon State, and they do exactly what they were supposed to do. 49-14 in this game. Dylan Gabriel continues his awesome play. This game he goes 20 for 24, 291 yards, 3 total touchdowns with a 54-yard long rush. He looked dominant in this one. He looks like poised to make a Heisman Trophy run in this season if he keeps playing like this, and he's going to get a chance for a real Heisman moment against Ohio State here in the coming weeks. But he looked great. The running game, 7.5 yards per carry, 4 touchdowns on the ground. It looked great from start to finish. The defense looked a lot better than it has looked over the course of this early season. And, hey, maybe we saw Oregon wake up in this one. They've kind of slid from that early preseason ranking number 3 all the way down to number 9. Now they finally do something they're supposed to do against Oregon State. And, hey, maybe this is the game that wakes them up going into Big Ten play. And I hope it is, because we want all of the great teams that we can at the top. And there looks like there's a bunch of them this year. This is, if last year's parity was due to not great degree of high quality teams, I think this year is the exact inverse. I think there's a lot of really, really good teams at the top here. You could make an argument like 1 through 10 has a real shot at the national title right now, and I'm sure that's going to, the market's going to shake out a little bit as we get into conference play here for these major teams. But boy, is it a great year to watch college football. And if Oregon is playing like this going forward, I mean, watch out. We're going to have a fun college football season. And, man, it is good to be September right now, man. It is good to be back in September. I'll just say that, and we'll keep it moving. Miami beat Ball State 62-0. Cam Ward threw for another 5 touchdowns. The Heisman conversation is loaded right now. We're not even talking about Travis Hunter, and Travis Hunter is maybe the best player in college football. That's probably due to his team, but we'll get to that here in just a minute. That's just how loaded that the discussion is at the top. Utah started Zach Wilson's brother at quarterback, but they beat Utah State 38-21. If Cam Rising can't play, this is not a Big 12 contender. I'll just put it simply. I mean, Zach Wilson's brother, whose name escapes me, had good numbers in this one: 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. But if Cam Rising's not playing, you're in trouble. That's the main thing, because their defense is not as good as it has been in previous years. Oklahoma State beat Tulsa 45-10. Cool, good for them. Alan Bowman had the game of his life in this one: 5 touchdowns, 396 yards, and an interception. Ho hum. This one hurt. This one hurt, folks. The other Oklahoma team, the University of Oklahoma, they hosted Tulane. The line was set at, I believe, 14.5 when I bet it. Oklahoma won this game 34-19, and if you're doing the quick math at home, that is, in fact, you guessed it, a 15-point difference on a 14.5-point spread. Brutal. Just a disgusting loss. I hate myself. I hate my life, and existence is suffering, if Siddhartha Gautama taught me anything. And Oklahoma taught me that too. They still don't look great. I think Jackson Arnold is not it. I think he's probably hitting the transfer portal after this year, because he is just not as good as billed at 5-star. Not a Malachi Nelson level of miss, but maybe on that Cade Klubnik level of miss. I just don't think Oklahoma is going to be rolling with him going forward. He did not look great against Tulane. He has not looked great so far this season. I have a bad feeling he's going to end up at Mississippi State, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Did get 2 rushing touchdowns, so credit where it's due. He just has not looked great so far this season, and I don't think that prognosis is going to continue, or improve, rather, in SEC play. LSU, in the game of the day, goes on the road to South Carolina. They're down 17-0 at one point. Ultimately, they come back and win this thing 36-33. They got a heaping helping of favorable officiating, let's just say. Some bad calls in this one. One on a pick 6. They had 2 different pick 6s that were called back. That talking about South Carolina in this one. One of them was just a bullshit blindside block call. Really, I mean, just a generic run-of-the-mill block on Garrett Nussmeier that gets called back because you lightly blew on the quarterback. So that was bullshit. South Carolina has a lot of reason to be upset about this one, but also after a 17-0 deficit, you let LSU come back in this one. I understand. I know what you're going to say. Lenoris Sellers did have an ankle injury at halftime that I don't think he had a single rush in the second half. It was dramatic, the way that his rushing numbers dropped off in the second half, and obviously that was due to his ankle injury. I will grant you that. That changed the dynamic of this game and ultimately probably won LSU this game. But the defense simply has to play better. You can't have these sort of sloppy mistakes. I mean, one of the buddies I was talking to that I went to not high school, but college with, I think put it best. This is not a matchup of 2 good teams that are duking it out. This is just a matchup of 2 bad teams that are butting heads. And that's kind of how I felt in this one. LSU's defense still does not look good enough. They are not up to par. Rocket Sanders went crazy in this game. 19 carries for 143 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. And LSU, they just simply have to be better. I loved the hire of Blake Baker at defensive coordinator. It's just not working out so far. Brian Kelly, he's not going to get fired this year, so don't hold your breath on that. All it's going to take is 2 straight 7-5, maybe 8-4 years, and Brian Kelly's going to be out of there. Because I'll tell you right now, I know quite a few LSU fans, and none of them are happy with Brian Kelly. None of them want him around anymore. I would preach patience in this situation, but at the same time, I can see where they're coming from, because this guy has, I mean, he snatched victory from the jaws of defeat like he did in this one, but he's also had games where you just look at the USC game this past, couple weeks ago in week 1. It was the game of the week. They had the game in hand, and then ultimately they snatched defeat from the jaws of victory. Brian Kelly gets pissy in the press conference, and there's just too many games like that where Brian Kelly is supposed to win the game. LSU is supposed to win the game. Excuse me. This is a whole program sort of thing. He's supposed to win the game. LSU is supposed to win the game, and they just inexplicably drop it. Just too many games like that have happened for Brian Kelly at LSU, and the fans simply are having none of it right now, and I can't blame him for it. I would preach patience, but I simply can't blame him for it. And LSU, man, watch out, because if it's not going to happen this offseason unless something major happens. But Brian Kelly, if he has a bad year this year and he struggles next year, he is absolutely on the hot seat. Hell, if he has a 7-5 year this year, going into next season, he is going to be on the hot seat. And I think 7-5 is probably about the line for him with this crazy SEC schedule they're going to be playing. Someone's going to fall off. There's just too many good teams playing each other. Someone is going to end with an 8-4, 7-5 record who is expecting to have 1 or 2 losses. LSU fits that bill, and it pains my heart to say, because I do have a lot of LSU friends. But I'm just calling it like I see it. The defense is not up to par. Garrett Nussmeier is not Jaden Daniels. I'm not breaking any news there. But this team is just simply not as good as they were last year on offense and defense. I just don't think they're improved enough to account for just how much worse the offense is this year without having Jaden Daniels in it, not having Malik Neighbors in it, not having Brian Thomas Jr. That attrition seems to have caught up with him. Brian Kelly better watch his back, and he better hope to God next season is much better, because this is not a sustainable model for him, and the fans are looking for a reason to get him out of there. Just a word to the wise, you better not slip up. South Carolina, who the hell knows what South Carolina is? They get taken to the wire by Old Dominion. Then they dominate Kentucky. They snatch defeat from the jaws of victory against LSU. This just feels like a Shane Beamer coach team, man, where they're just going to be a wild card. Some weeks are going to be feisty. Some weeks they're going to be abjectly disappointing. You just never know. This just feels like the Shane Beamer experience. We'll see how much longer that South Carolina decides to ride with it. That's about all I have to say about South Carolina, though. Lenora Sellers looks great on the ground. I'm not sure how great he is as a passer, but looks great on the ground so far, and that's something you can build around. As a true freshman, maybe redshirt freshman. I can't remember if he got there last year or not. That's a guy that you can build the program around going forward. So we'll see how that works out as SEC play goes on. Maybe they're a surprising team. We'll just see. Michigan, they're in a tough spot, man. They win 28-18 over Arkansas State. They make another QB change they're benching Davis, what's his name, and they're bringing in Alex Orji again. Davis Warren, he's going on the bench. I want to talk about a hilarious stat line. He went 11 for 14, so 3 incompletions, 122 yards, 8.7 yards per attempt. You're thinking, okay, that's not too bad, especially against lesser competition. That's kind of what you would expect in that situation. 0 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. And if you're doing the math at home, that works out to 3 incompletions going for 3 interceptions. Hey, man, you want to talk about efficiency? Ball didn't hit the ground. Ball did not hit the ground all day for Davis Warren. You can't say that about Alex Orji. However, understandably, the 3 interceptions against Arkansas State was the last straw for Davis Warren. Sharon Moore is starting Alex Orji next week. Michigan, they might be on their way to a 6-6 season right now, man. They are in full rebuild mode compared to what they usually are. This is going to be a down year this year, man. The defense is not as good as they were last year. The offense, they're certainly not as good as they were last year. They're in for some regression, and boy, you want to talk about some real competitive pressure. If Ryan Day doesn't beat this Michigan team, I think Columbus might have a full-on rebellion on their hands. So you better win. You better win this year, Ryan Day. All the pressure is on you in this one. Michigan, boy, they're in for some tough times, though. I'll tell you what. Notre Dame goes on the road to Purdue, and they play like a team that just got beat badly on their home field and is looking to take out some aggression. They win 66-7 over Purdue. The rushing yards, I need to look at them because they were hilarious in this game. 364 yards on the ground, 6 touchdowns for Notre Dame, and an 8.5 yard per carry clip. Riley Leonard had 3 rushing touchdowns in this game. Don't look at the passing touchdowns. That's neither here nor there. But rushing wise, he was electric in this one. This whole Notre Dame rushing offense was hard to stop. Hard to stop in this one. We didn't learn a damn thing about not Arkansas. We didn't learn a damn thing about Notre Dame. But if they win the rest of their games, they're in. Make no mistake about it. They're in if they win the next all of the rest of their games. Last one on the schedule here, we had Nebraska win 34-3 over Northern Iowa. Ho-hum in this one. Dylan Raiola is creepy the way that he emulates Patrick Mahomes' mannerisms and completely denies doing it. Whatever. Really solid quarterback, though. There's a reason he was the number 1 quarterback in this last recruiting class, and the fact that he's playing this well this early, Nebraska's going to be a problem in the next 2 years. It is... he has to be in college for the next 2 seasons. He's already a starter as a true freshman. Unless someone drops a bag on his doorstep and he decides to go elsewhere in the transfer portal, boy, he's going to bring Nebraska back to prominence. This is going to be a fun program to watch with Matt Rule and Dylan Raiola there at quarterback. Put a pin in them, though. I am excited to see them going into Big Ten play, but they just played Northern Iowa. Let's temper our expectations here. Let's take a trip around the Power 4, I suppose. Start with the ACC, see if I missed any here. Oh boy, Florida State, man. Man, they lost another game. They're 0-3 now. Memphis beat them 20-12. Memphis, in a lot of people's minds, probably the front runner for the Group of 5 representation in the playoff. That's what I think of that model right there. Boy, oh boy. Boy, oh boy, Florida State, man. 3-2-1 Knoll. You got to eat the dog shit, bud. Florida State may never win a game so long as you don't eat that dog shit. There's a curse on the program until 3-2-1 Knoll eats the dog shit. That's a fact. I'm not the first one to say it, but that's an absolute fact. You can go ahead and look it up. 3-2-1 Knoll, you need to do your civic duty. You need to eat just a teensy-weensy little bit of dog shit. You do that, you post it, you're back in the good graces, man. And I hope you don't work at a job site because you're probably getting bullied mercilessly. I'm surprised he's not halfway to Wyoming or all the way in Wyoming starting a new life by this point. He should be in Wyoming under an assumed name, getting paid under the table to wash dishes or something right now. He needs to go full witness protection on this if he's ever to have a normal life again, because otherwise, hey, family, friends know, man, you got to eat the dog shit. You're going to come to Thanksgiving. You're going to, show up at your girlfriend's house. Your wife, whatever she happens to be, your father-in-law is going to be sitting there. He's going to be saying, hey, 3-2-1 Knoll, or whatever your legal name happens to be. It's good to see you. Have you eaten the dog shit yet? Because you have to. Florida State. Boy, I don't know what's worse, being a Florida State fan or being a Mississippi State fan this year. I guess it's probably Florida State because at least you had expectations for this year. They are neck and neck, though, man. Whew. It would suck to be a Florida State fan, especially after talking all that mess leading into the college football playoff about getting snubbed. Tough year to go 0-3 out of the gate. I'll just say that right off the bat. Tough year to go 0-3 out of the gate. And I don't think it's going to get a whole lot better. I don't think ACC play is going to help them out too much in this one. Hey, look at Memphis, though. 3-0. They might be undefeated heading into the postseason here in this one. NC State, they beat Louisiana Tech 30-20. I think Grayson McCall was out for this one again, I want to say. Is he out for the season? I don't think he's out for the year. He did get hurt in this one, though. He did have an injury. CJ Bailey came in and looked better, but threw an interception. NC State's just a yucky football team this year, man. Just gross. Yucky. Yuck. What else we got here? Duke barely beat UConn. Good luck to Duke, man. They're 3-0, but they're about as shaky a 3-0 could possibly look. Georgia Tech beat the hell out of VMI. Ho-hum. You want to talk about snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. I switched over from the West Virginia game over to the Georgia game. West Virginia Pitt, that is. They were up 34-24 with like 4 minutes left. Pittsburgh wins this game 38-34. Boy, tough way to go 1-2 to start the year for West Virginia. Tough way to do it. Pittsburgh just went out of their mind in the final 4 minutes. This is probably, I mean, you want to talk about the game of the weekend. Oh, excuse me. I guess LSU and South Carolina had the cachet behind it, being an SEC matchup with a ranked team in it, going on the road. I mean, West Virginia-Pittsburgh is probably the game of the weekend, man. I mean, it's just classic backyard brawl stuff. Pittsburgh gets the win. They're 3-0. Hey, maybe a dark horse in the ACC. The ACC is so bad that who's to say? Who's to say, man? Shout out Pittsburgh. Shout out to the coaching staff over there. I think they've done a really solid job. Pat Narduzzi, shout out to him over at Pittsburgh. North Carolina beat North Carolina Central 45-10. Who cares? Virginia Tech beat Old Dominion 37-17. Again, filed under who cares. West Virginia, or not West Virginia, just talked about them. Maryland beat Virginia, the regular Virginia, 27-13. I don't think either of those teams are good, so we'll just move past that. Cal beat San Diego State 31-10. Boy, do I hope we have good late matchups so I can stay up until the ass crack of dawn watching football, because we did not have that this week, and that'll do it for the ACC. Stanford didn't play. Classic ACC team that we didn't get to talk about this week. Sorry about that. Big 12. Arizona State beat Texas State 31-28. They were looking, I mean, Texas State looking feisty. Arizona State starting 3-0. Hey, maybe they're a dark horse in the Big 12. Don't think so. Their most impressive win is Mississippi State, and boy, we're going to talk about them in a second. I am depressed about Mississippi State. Already talked about that one. UNLV beat Kansas. Kansas is sneaky 1-2. Jalen Daniels looking like the injuries finally caught up with him. I think they're also missing the hell out of Andy Kotelnicki as well. It really speaks to how valuable he was for that offense. The fact that, I mean, it's a lot of the same players. Jalen Daniels seems to be staying healthy so far. They just haven't been able to get the offense going, and I think that is a large part due to the fact that Andy Kotelnicki is now the offensive coordinator at Penn State, and Penn State's playing very, very good offense, very reminiscent of what we saw from Kansas last season. Kansas might be in for a rough one. They're going into a loaded Big 12, or at the very least, very evenly fought Big 12, and I don't think their team is very good this year. UNLV, though, Matthew Sluka Doncic, best nickname in all of college football, to my liking, anyways. Had 124 yards on the ground. I don't think he had great passing numbers, but I mean, ultimately didn't throw an interception, didn't turn the ball over. So a solid performance for Matthew Sluka, at least on the ground. Sluka Doncic, hopefully he keeps living up to that nickname, but impressive win for UNLV. They're 3-0 going out of their FBS schedule, to the best of my knowledge. Let me see what their remaining schedule is right now. They play Oregon State. They play Syracuse, Oregon State, and those are the last two FBS teams. Well, Power 5 teams, I guess you could call them, with, lumping Oregon State in there that they have to play, but they do still play a really solid schedule. Hey, if UNLV goes undefeated through this schedule, hell, I think they're actually a dark horse for the G5 pick. I think Syracuse is going to get them here in a couple weeks, though. If not Fresno State next week, I think Syracuse is going to get them. I really like the way that Fran Brown has put that team together. I love the way that Kyle McCord is playing for him right now. Really a career revival after not a great season at Ohio State last year. But we move on from there. Cincinnati beat Miami of Ohio 27-16. Cincinnati stinks. Texas Tech, they got Taj Brooks back, and he, beat the hell out of North Texas. Blake Morton, Baron Morton, I don't really know what his name is. Morton, the Texas the quarterback of Texas Tech, easy for me to say, went 273 for 4 scores. Taj Brooks had 109 yards and 1 touchdown, and I believe his first game of the season. So Texas Tech may be looking a little bit feisty there as well going into Big 12 play. What else? Already talked about that one. Baylor beat Air Force 31-3. I guess we'll stop on this one for a second. Colorado beat Colorado State 28-9. Shedeur Sanders had 4 touchdowns. Travis Hunter had 13 receptions for 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. Hilarious. The headlines were after this one, when in the handshakes after the game, Shedeur Sanders refused to shake the hand of the opposing starting quarterback. And look, I get it. I understand why he did this. There were some quotes coming out from that, said Colorado State starting quarterback, talking about really just, denigrating Colorado, talking about, all the social media clicks, all that sort of stuff. The usual slander you hear about Colorado, not necessarily slander, but you know what I'm saying here. The usual sort of criticisms for the Colorado program. Obviously, Shedeur Sanders takes exception with it. He doesn't shake his hand after the game. I get it. I understand why he did it. On the other hand, though, I'm just seeing week after week stuff that is kind of solidifying my thoughts on Shedeur Sanders. And again, I understand why he did it. The starting quarterback shouldn't be doing that sort of stuff. The starting quarterback should be kind of a model citizen, talk shit every once in a while. Baker Mayfield. That's who Shedeur Sanders should look up to. You want to have a little bit of swag, a little bit of edge to you. Baker Mayfield is the guy that you need to be looking up to because he does. He talks shit in the game, but does all the right stuff outside of that, is a good leader. The team loves him in the locker room. Shedeur Sanders just seems immature, kind of constantly, or at the very least consistently throws his teammates under the bus in the press conference. Good touch with the whole offensive line being there for him in this press conference, but has thrown him under the bus in the past. It kind of makes headlines where the starting quarterback should not be making headlines on that one. Really, this is just solidifying my image of Shedeur Sanders, which is this. He is a first-round talent. If it was just up to his measurables, he's a top 10 pick, shoe-in. He's a very, very good quarterback. No one is slandering his abilities as a quarterback because he's really, really good. He's very, very talented. The intangibles, the things that really give you success in the NFL, he's first-round measurable talent. He is late round to undrafted intangible talent in my mind. There's too many character flags. Are you asking this kid to come into an NFL locker room and demand respect from adults? Because I don't know if he necessarily demands respect from children right now in college. And you know what? I'm far enough away from college to where I can refer to them as children. They're all like 6 years younger than me, unless they have COVID years, and then in which case maybe they're older than me. But Colorado doesn't have that problem. I just don't see the leadership qualities that I would like to see if I'm going to take this guy in the first round. I think at the very least he's not going in the first round. He may be projected to go there. I don't care what they're saying pre-draft. If someone takes him in the first round, I think they're making a mistake, and I just don't think he's going to end up being in the first round. And maybe that's the Grand Dion plan. Maybe the Grand Dion plan is having drop into the late part of the first round, and then he goes to a quality team that can kind of develop him. I don't know. But if I were a GM, I would not draft Shedeur Sanders. I just combined Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders' name. Hilarious. But that's really all I got to say on that. This whole Colorado program, just bad vibes. Bad vibes. I don't know how much better they're going to be than they were last year. We'll see how they get into Big 12 play. I don't see them doing a whole lot better than they did last year, though. And who the hell knows who this program's going to be when Shedeur and Travis Hunter leave? Who the hell knows if Deion Sanders is still going to be there when Shedeur and Travis Hunter leave? I think we might be seeing, hearing some leaks later in the season if they're struggling, that, maybe Deion is thinking about stepping away from the program. Hey, if it does happen, you all know where you heard it first. That's all I got to say on that. Another electrifying game. UCF went on the road to TCU, had a comeback win late in the fourth quarter, outscored TCU 15-3 to get the win in this one. Electrifying game. It looks like vintage UCF right now. They're 3-0. Looks like Jefferson is playing well over there to start his UCF career. Good introduction into the Big 12. I like what UCF is doing. Maybe another dark horse in the Big 12. The Big 12 is a conference of dark horses outside of the very bottom of the conference. So, good win for UCF. We'll see what they look like going into Big 12 play from here on out. Houston 33, Rice 7. Who cares? BYU beats Wyoming 34-14. File that under who cares as well. BYU sneaky 3-0 though. Another maybe dark horse. We'll see how it goes from here. That's the Big 12 though. Let's see what else we got. The Big 10. Any matchups I didn't get to there? A lot of ranked teams in the Big Ten, so I hit on most of them. Yeah, a couple washes here. Illinois won 30-9 over Central Michigan. Michigan State beat Prairie View 40-0. Aiden Childs still looking, but 3-0 is 3-0. We'll see what they look like in Big Ten play. Don't have high hopes. Minnesota beat Nevada 27-0. They're just discount Iowa. Let's just call it like it is. Washington State goes on the road to Washington in the Apple Cup, and they get the win 24-19. Ooh, sweet, sweet revenge. Tastes oh so good if you're Washington State. Washington might be bad. They just might not be very good. Washington State, man, hey, 3-0 in this season. Pac-12 up right now. Just disregard Oregon State. Pac-12 is up right now. They added a whole bunch of new teams. Just a cadre of Mountain West teams. I think it was, let me see if I can get them off the top of my head. Boise State, Fresno State, San Diego State, and I believe Utah State. Maybe they're Colorado State. I think it's Colorado State, actually, that they're adding. So, hey, Pac-12 is just morphing into the Mountain West. Might be even sadder this way, honestly. But, hey, Pac-12 refusing to die. It's what the Big 12 did, and they're still around the third best conference. So, hey, maybe they can pick up some ACC teams and turn themselves back into the fourth whenever this whole thing all shakes out. But hey, Washington State gets the win in the Apple Cup. Congratulations to them. I know that one felt extra good. Iowa? What is this Iowa team? Scoring 38 points on anyone, really. 38-21. They win over Troy, just smashing the over in this game. Hey, they're an offensive juggernaut. They have a legit bell cow running back. How about that? I mean, Caleb Johnson, my fellow Caleb, spell it with a K, but I'm lumping him in either way. He goes 25 carries, 173 yards, 2 touchdowns on the ground. Caleb Johnson, man, he is looking good. And if Iowa has a legit bell cow running back and the defense is any bit as good as it was last year, giving up 21 points to Troy worries me, but you win with 38 points to your credit. Hey, this Iowa team could be feisty. They lost the Cyhawk game, so they're 2-1, but hey, watch out for this team in Big Ten play. I don't think they're going to make a Big Ten championship run now that the Big Ten West is extinct as it should be. But hey, I like this team. I mean, they're probably better on offense than they have been. Cade McNamara going 19 of 23. That's not something you see most years from Iowa starting quarterback. Hey, maybe this Iowa team coming around on offense. This new offense starting to kick into gear. We'll see how it works out going forward. They get the win over Troy, though. Not impressive, but they get the win. What else we got? Indiana beat UCLA. UCLA is poo-poo stinky bad. They might not win again another time this year. Indiana, though, 3-0. Kurt Cignetti's got the boy playing. Rourke, the QB over at Indiana, 4 touchdowns in this one against the UCLA. Indiana might be a sneaky good team here in the Big Ten, and I think the Big Ten would love that as a whole because they're trying to compete with the SEC. The mid-level, the lower-level teams being good is just good for business in the Big Ten, and I think the powers that be in the Big Ten are smiling at that Indiana hire of Kurt Cignetti right now. I am excited to see them get into Big Ten play. They might disappoint, but I want to see what Curtis Rourke looks like against really good competition. I'll just say that. Northwestern beat Eastern Illinois 31-7, and that will round out the Big Ten. All right, so last one we got on the schedule here. We have got the SEC, and most of them we already talked about because the SEC is so goddamn loaded. Oh boy. Didn't talk about this one, though. Texas A&M goes on the road to Florida. You thought if ever there was a time for Florida to get this ship right, it would be against Texas A&M. Didn't happen. Texas A&M gets the win 33-20. I think they might have found something in that backup quarterback there in Marcel Reed. I think Connor Wegman might have just got Wally pipped. I mean, check these numbers, man. 178 yards, 10.5 yards per attempt. 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, adds a touchdown on the ground as well to go with 83 yards on the ground. He was sensational against this Florida Gators team. And I don't think you can pull him. Even if Connor Wegman is healthy, I don't think you can pull Marcel Reed at this point. I think you just have to consign Connor Wegman to the transfer portal. You missed on him. Just, hey, take your lumps and keep it moving from here. Florida tried to trot out DJ Lagway to save the day and save Billy Napier's job. He goes 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, 4.2 yards per attempt. Passing, he was bad. This whole Florida team is just stinky poo-poo bad. They are the exact team that they've been over the course of the last several seasons. Nothing has changed. They are equally as bad, and they're facing a gauntlet of a schedule. Honestly, if they don't have a great showing against Mississippi State, hell, even if they win the game against Mississippi State in this upcoming week, I think Billy Napier's a dead man walking. I thought for sure he was going to get fired when they had that board of trustees meeting on Sunday. Nothing came of that, crazy enough, and he is still the Florida head coach. But boy, I just don't think it lasts a whole lot longer. Everyone knows he's a dead man walking at this point. If he was going to save his job, he had to go 3-0 to start this season, or at the very least 2-1 with the loss to Miami, and that is not what he did. I don't see how Billy Napier makes it to the midway point this year. I don't see how it happens at this point. I just think he's a dead man walking, and we're going to see the axe fall here in the next 2-3 weeks or so. It's just a matter of time at this point. I think he grants Texas A&M and the new coaching staff there. Mike Elko, couldn't think of his name for whatever reason at that point, but I think he grant them a little bit of leeway. I think he come back to it another time here, but Florida. It's over. It's over for what's the name? G5 Billy. I think it's over for him there in Gainesville. All right, so a couple more. Arkansas beat UAB 37-27. Hey, maybe we can win against Arkansas this year. Who knows? They're 2-1. We'll see. We're going to talk about him here in a second. Mississippi State I'm just not looking forward to that one. Georgia State beat Vanderbilt 36-32. All is right in the world again. Diego Pavia had a solid enough game, but you can't beat Georgia State. Georgia State's a solid football team, man. They are a solid football team. 2-1, facing mostly FBS opponents here to start off the season. They're a good little football team, Georgia State. Good little football team. I think they had a good start to the year. Vanderbilt, who knows what the hell Vanderbilt is? They ultimately had a rally in the fourth quarter that, fell just short there at the end with Georgia State getting the comeback win, with, Vanderbilt getting the comeback almost win before that. Man, Vanderbilt, happy for them. They're better than Mississippi State. How about that? Vanderbilt is better than Mississippi State, and, you can't say that most years. So we move on from there. Tough loss for them. Auburn beat New Mexico 45-19. I don't think Auburn is very good, but I'll tell you what, let's rip the Band-Aid off. They are better than Mississippi State. I'm just Toledo won 41-17 over Mississippi State. It was 31-3 at one point. 28-3 at halftime. I think he was actually 35-3 at one point in the third quarter. I root for a terrible football team, folks, and honestly, this may be the worst team I've ever rooted for. I mean, that includes like a 3-13 season with the Vikings back under the Leslie Frazier years. We don't speak that name, but this Mississippi State team might be worse than that one. And I don't know what to do. I'm contemplating taking hiking trips on the weekends, especially on Saturday. Do some drive out on Friday night, hike in the morning on Saturday, get back for the late kickoffs in college football on Saturday. I don't know. This Mississippi State team, where do I start, man? Well, I guess I'll start on the offensive and defensive lines. Just a total disaster. We lost a defensive lineman last week. We lost an offensive lineman this week, and that's just not for the season with injuries, which we do have those as well. I'm talking just guys leaving the program. The cupboard is bare on the front line for both sides of the ball. The defense is the defensive line is about as barren as you can get. The secondary is thin on the back end. The linebackers aren't great. The receivers look good. They just, there's not enough time for Blake Shapen to get the ball to him, but receivers look good. This team is just so fucking god-awful, and it is, you can probably tell by my voice, I am about as depressed can be about the Mississippi State Bulldogs. But I'm a fan, so I'm going to keep watching them. I might skip the Texas game. I might skip the Tennessee game. I might skip the Georgia game. Might skip the Missouri game as well. Oh, this season's going to suck. And my entire mental health and continuing mental health is riding on the Minnesota Vikings, quarterbacked by Sam Darnold. So pray for your boy. If you're a religious person, keep your boy in your prayers, because this is going to be a long and tough season. With that, though, I think that pretty much does it. I'm so depressed right now. I think that pretty much does it for week 3 in college football. Let's take a look at week 4. Let's get a time check, actually. I don't know how long we've been doing this. A little under an hour. We're making good time. So let's just get through this real quick. I don't have any bets for you just yet. Haven't really taken a look at the old schedule-y coming up, but we'll move on. We'll just take a look at the treetop slate for the Power 4 going forward here. So Illinois on the road to Nebraska. That's going to be, 43.5 is the over/under. Might see what that line does. I might bet the under in this game, and that 43.5 might actually move down. I'm going to have to take a long, hard look at that. I'll probably stay away. It's a little bit of a low number for a college game, but these defenses are going to hold these offenses. I can assure you of that right now. I feel like this is going to be a low-scoring contest, and hell, I might even take Illinois at that plus 8.5. That's a juicy little number there. Ultimately, I might stay away, though. I like both of these teams. I'm just I'm hesitant to bet either way on this one, but that's going to be a really good matchup. Ohio State's playing Marshall, and we'll just scroll through this. Clemson is playing NC State at home. That's going to be a nice tune-up game as they get into the ACC play. They had a tough week 1 versus Georgia, but Georgia's also Georgia, and they've looked solid otherwise. Had a bye last week, coming off of just brutalizing App State, I believe it was. And now they're looking to continue that momentum in the ACC play, especially with the 12-team playoff. They're very much alive for a playoff spot, and I think they're still the second-best team in the ACC right now. So this is going to be a good tune-up game for them against NC State. The line's minus 20.5, and I think Clemson covers that. I'm not probably betting it, but Clemson covers that in my mind. The more I think about it, though, I might bet them. We'll return to that on Thursday. Arkansas State is on the road at Iowa State. Sneaky Arkansas State team here, man. I don't know if I would take Iowa State at that minus 21.5, but that's one to monitor right there. Iowa State not looked great so far. Not looked fantastic. So that could be a sneaky spot for them. Penn State's hosting Kent State. They should beat them by about 50, which the line is minus 49, so that makes sense. USC is on the road at stubbornly still ranked Michigan. USC's minus 5.5. That's a long number for a road game. Michigan's so bad this year that I might end up riding with it, though. Miller Moss only has 2 touchdowns this year. That doesn't seem right. He had all of his touchdowns in the first game. No. He had 1 touchdown the first game, 1 touchdown in the second game. That just doesn't seem right to me. But hey, it's what the numbers are telling me right now, so I suppose that is accurate. I like USC in this game. I don't know if I'm going to bet them at a minus 5.5 point favorite going on the road. Their first true Big Ten game this year. In a hostile environment, we'll see. We'll see on that one. I'm hesitant to take that, but I think USC is going to win that. I do think USC is going to win that, especially with the QB upheaval for Michigan going against a much improved USC defense. I'm excited to see DeAnton Lynn's game plan going into the Big Ten on defense. I think he's done a fantastic job there for USC so far. What else we got here? Louisville's hosting Georgia Tech. Louisville favored by 10. Louisville's a sneaky good team that no one's talking about right now. They might be in the running for second best team in the ACC as well. Not a bad race there at the top of the ACC. It's a bad conference, but the top 3 teams, not bad at all. Not bad. 3 or 4 teams. I think Boston College is feisty, but not a bad little top 4 there for the ACC right now. But that'll be one to monitor. Louisville minus 10. We'll see if it stays that way or if it moves in Georgia Tech's favor. Northern Illinois is a minus 14-point favorite versus Buffalo. They're looking like they're in the driver's seat for the group of 5 bid in the playoff right now. They're getting into MAC play, hosting Buffalo in this one. We'll see. MACtion is crazy like that. MACtion is crazy, so you got to watch out for that. UCLA is on the road at LSU. LSU is favored by 24.5. If it wasn't LSU, this would be a lock, absolute lock. But I just don't trust Brian Kelly to cover spreads. I'll just put it to you that way. We got our first, maybe not our first, but one of the early solid games in the Big 12. And 3-0 Utah is on the road at Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State is favored by 1.5. I think a lot of this kind of hinges on goodness, the Utah quarterback. Why can't I think of his name? Why can't I think of his name right now? But you know the Utah quarterback. It's not Grayson McCall. It's a different 7th-year quarterback at quarterback there for Utah. You know his name, though. You know his name, even if I don't for whatever reason. Jesus Christ, that's going to bother me. Cam Rising. How the fuck did I forget Cam Rising? My brain is just mush right now. Absolute mush. But yes, that's a big game early in the Big 12. Utah at Oklahoma State. I'm looking forward to seeing how that goes. Utah is favored by 1.5. I might actually lean Oklahoma State in that one. Might be a wrong team favorite situation, but Oklahoma State's not that great either. So might just be a fun one to follow. We'll see how it goes. Missouri is hosting Vandy. I think this might be the wake-up call for Vandy. I think Mizzou wins this one. Mizzou is favored by 20.5 for a reason. I think Brady Cook might double his total touchdown output this year. Just two in the first 3 games. Wild to me. Tennessee on the road at Oklahoma. Ooh, baby, this is a juicy one. The Josh Heupel returning to Oklahoma. No love lost there. Oklahoma playing badly. Tennessee looking like a title contender. Tennessee favored -7 in this one. That's a long odds for a road team, but Tennessee is so good, I might move on that one. I'll get back to you on Thursday, but I love that -7 for Tennessee. I think Tennessee is just a fantastic team this year, and I think Oklahoma is going to be humbled by the SEC this year. I think that's with Jackson Arnold at quarterback. I think they're going to get humbled by the SEC on offense for sure. Texas A&M hosting Bowling Green. I don't even know why I said that. I don't know why Texas A&M is ranked at 25. Good for them though, I suppose. Any other matchups? Kansas State's going on the road to BYU. Kansas State's only favored by 7. I think that speaks to the sneakiness of this game. Could be an early surprise in the Big 12. If BYU starts 4-0, they're going to be ranked if they beat this Kansas State team. All bets are off, man. All bets are off if they start 4-0. One of these teams in the Big 12 is going to surprise us, whether it's UCF, whether it's BYU, one of those other 3-0 teams that's not ranked right now. Someone's going to be a surprise in the Big 12, and I'm just looking forward to seeing who it is. Okay, so any games that are not ranked that I should hit on? Hey, JMU's on the road at North Carolina. That might be fun. I don't know if JMU's the same JMU they were last year, but still 2-0 to start the season, so I'm looking forward to finding out. Rutgers at Virginia Tech might be a good one there. Virginia Tech's favorite -3. Might go Rutgers in that one. I think Rutgers is a live dog in that one. Excuse me. Youngstown State. Who cares? Who cares about that one? I apologize for even bringing that up. TCU is on the road to SMU. That could be a fun one. That could be a fun one. TCU favored by 2.5. We'll see if Rhett Lashlee can pull the boys together in that one. Miami's on the road at South Florida. That's kind of a sneaky one. I think Miami ultimately wins and they cover. It's 16.5 right now in favor of Miami. But don't be shocked if South Florida's got this thing close in the fourth quarter. I mean, I think Alex Golesh is the head coach there at South Florida. He's got the boys playing. I'll tell you what, he's got the boys playing. So don't count him out. I think Miami wins and they cover, but don't count them out. Don't count them out this season. 3-0 Cal is facing Florida State. If you would have told me that preseason, I would have said you were high. That's wild. 3-0 California is facing 0-3 Florida State. FSU is favored by 2, and I'm still probably going to take Cal in this one. I'm going to have to check the line. It says -2 on ESPN bet. I'll have to check the lines. That's probably going to be a bet for us this week with Cal. I don't even care if they're traveling halfway around the world to face Florida State. Florida State's just a bad football team, and Cal has beat Auburn. I think Auburn might be a better football team than Florida State this year. Give me Cal. Give me Cal in this one. I'll add them to the bets on Thursday in all likelihood, but I'm just going to have to, just tentatively say I'll probably add them right now. Michigan State is on the road to Boston College. Boston College favored by 6.5 in this one. This is a sneaky one that I might be on, because Michigan State's not looked good this year. Aiden Childs is not rounded into form, and I just love the makeup of this Boston College team. I think Boston College is better coached right now. I think they have their identity already. I think Michigan State's still trying to find it. I think they win, and I think they cover in this one. This is another one that I think I'm going to add to the slate here. It's minus 6.5. I'll do some shopping around, get you a hard line come Thursday. So tentatively, I'm adding that one as well. Let's look at the Big 12. Houston at Cincinnati. That's going to be I should probably stop using the phrase, but I'll use it one more time. It's going to be a real cripple fight. That's not going to be fun to watch. Kansas at West Virginia falls under the same category in my mind. West Virginia favored by 2.5, and I might probably lean West Virginia. I just don't think Kansas is that good this year. Okay. Arizona State's on the road at Texas Tech. Sneaky fireworks in this one. Watch out. Kenny Dillingham's got that offense playing better than it has been or was last year in his first year at Arizona State. Taj Brooks looks like a monster in that at Texas Tech running game coming back. Looks like he has not lost a step at all coming off that injury. This could be a sneaky good game. This could be a fun Big 12 game this upcoming week that people don't necessarily think about coming in, but ultimately might have fireworks. I'm looking forward to that one. TCU SMU, already talked about that one. Baylor at Colorado. Colorado only favored by 2. I'd lean towards Colorado, but I wouldn't take them. Wouldn't take them this early. I had to wipe some spittle off the screen there. I apologize. That's the last one in the Big 12, though. Let's see what's going on in the Big 10. Any games I missed? Any games I missed? Iowa at Minnesota, if you hate offense, the over-under is 36.5 on that one, and I mean that's a dead on line. I mean I wouldn't even bet on that, but if you do bet the under, don't find yourself in a quandary trying to bet the over in Iowa versus Minnesota. It's just not happening. Iowa favored by 2.5, and Iowa kind of dominates this matchup, so I would favor Iowa in this one. Last year's result aside, it wasn't a fair catch. Let's move on with that. Cooper DeJean scored a touchdown, and Iowa should have won that game. But I digress on that front. That's a great game if you hate offense and you love defense right there. Yeah, Purdue at Oregon State. That's what Oregon State's up to nowadays. There's minus 4.5 favorites, and I'd probably lean them, but I ain't betting Oregon State and Purdue. I don't know enough about those teams. What else we got? SEC. Let's see what's going on in the SEC right now. Florida's at Mississippi State. Florida's favored by 5.5. I'm not betting either of them, honestly. And who the hell even knows what that 57.5 over under? I just hope the boys have fun. I hope the boys have fun because I certainly won't. Ohio's at Kentucky. Who cares? Arkansas's at Auburn. First game in both of their SEC schedules. Auburn's favored by 3. I don't know about that one. I'm just staying away. Low ticket for that one, $17. If you're looking to go to Arkansas at Auburn, SEC matchup in Auburn, Alabama, $17 will get you in. $50 will probably get you a sweet little seat there. So something to consider if you're in the area. Got nothing else to do on a Saturday? Why not? Hey, it's an early game. It's 3:30 actually, so maybe you're looking forward to one of the evening kickoffs, but excuse me, don't gotta wake up early to get there. So hey, something to consider. UCLA at LSU, already talked about that one. Akron at South Carolina. South Carolina favored by 27.5. Just save yourself the heartache. Don't bet on South Carolina, man. You never know what you're gonna get week to week. And that's pretty much it. Nothing else worth noting there. There's a couple, paint can matchups there with Texas and Ole Miss. Don't need to hit on those. That's it, though. That is all for college football this week. I thank you for tuning in. We'll see what happens next week with the episode. I haven't decided yet what I'm going to do on that front. Whatever. So yeah, that's pretty much all for this episode. I thank you so much for tuning in to this college football episode. I'll get you all the bets. all the NFL talk on Thursday. Again, we're having internal discussions. By that I mean I'm having discussions with myself about how to proceed with the structure of this show, how we release them, what days we release them, what we release first, college football, NFL. These are decisions for me to consider and you to find out later about. So there's that. But I thank you so much for tuning in to Unqualified Analysis. We do this 2 times a week. Tuesdays, Thursdays right now. We'll see how that goes going forward. If you liked it, though, go ahead, leave a like, leave a rating, leave a subscription, and then share with a friend to help me grow this thing wherever you're listening to it. We want to grow on all platforms, so subscribe basically everywhere. Yeah, go to YouTube, to Spotify, to Apple, to Amazon, wherever you're getting it. Go to all the platforms and subscribe. Why not? Why not just, live it up, explore the space, if you will. If you want to follow me, it's at CalebVUA. If you want to contact the show, shoot me a DM or shoot me an email via the email unqualifiedanalysis@gmail.com. That's in the description as well as the Twitter. And with that, thank you so much for tuning into Unqualified Analysis. As always, I have little to no clue what I'm talking about, but I'm smarter than the average bear. So with that said, one thing that I learned this week to wrap us up, and that's this one coming hot off the presses. This is a real what I learned this week because I learned this just yesterday. The most powerful known computer today, the Frontier supercomputer in the Oak Ridge National Labs, I believe in Tennessee, shout out, right down the road from where I grew up. Spent like 10 years of my life in that area. Shout out to Oak Ridge, Tennessee. They make bombs there or do nuclear research there, whatever. They refined a lot of uranium, a lot of plutonium, whatever they use to make bombs, nuclear bombs back when the Manhattan Project was going on at Oak Ridge. Again, I digress on that front. The Frontier supercomputer, the most powerful known computer in the world today, is approximately 10 quadrillion times more powerful than the first known computer made in 1958 called the ENIAC. You want to talk about a place where we have just had exponential growth computing power. That is the future. And 10 quadrillion is a bigger number than we could ever even conceptualize. So with that, thank you so much for tuning in. I will see y'all on Thursday for NFL talk. Until then, enjoy Monday Night Football. You already watched it. That's my bad. Enjoy your week, folks. I'll see you on Thursday. Deuces.